Welcome back, deep divers. Today we're diving deep into the world of artificial intelligence.
Specifically AGI and ASI.
You got it. Our listeners sent in some, well, kind of mind-blowing research on the topic. I gotta say, I'm already
A
feeling,
little overwhelmed.
haha, maybe a tad,
Yeah.
more like excited, and a bit awestruck, honestly. What about you?
Oh, definitely. The future of AI, it's a topic that sparks those kinds of reactions.
No kidding. So, to make sure we're all starting on the same page here, can you break down
You mean like define AGI and ASI?
exactly?
Okay, so AGI, that's artificial general intelligence, basically AI systems.
Wait, so like systems that can do anything a human can, intellectually speaking?
Yeah, that's the idea. Not just like, specialized stuff like playing chess.
Or like those chatbots that translate languages?
Right. AGI, it's about like reaching a level of intelligence that's, well, truly on par with our own.
So, like, we're talking machines that could write a novel or...
Compose a symphony, even solve like super complex scientific problems.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
now ASI, that's where things get...
A little more intense.
Yeah, a little. So ASI, or Artificial Superintelligence,
That's AI that goes beyond human intelligence across the board, potentially by a huge margin.
Yeah, and one of the sources you shared had this analogy. I thought it was perfect. They said, today's AI is kind of like a calculator.
Great at math, but that's it.
Exactly. And then AGI, that'd be like a human, a generalist with a wide range of skills. But ASI...
It's like, well, it's beyond anything we can even really grasp right now.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. But before we get too deep into, well, the implications of such advanced AI...
You mean like what could it do?
Yeah. Let's talk about the good stuff, the potential benefits. Your research highlighted some incredible possibilities, like in medicine, space exploration.
And even climate change, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with medicine. What could AGI and ASI do in that field?
Oh man, the potential is huge EE.
Yeah.
Imagine like AI systems analyzing tons of medical data, spotting patterns that, humans might miss, developing treatments.
That are personalized for each patient.
Yeah, like based on their genes and their lifestyle. It would completely revolutionize healthcare.
It would, wouldn't it? What about space exploration? How could AI help us push the boundaries there?
Well, think about it. AI could design and control spacecraft, the autonomous kind. They could analyze data from distant planets.
Stars, even?
Yeah. And even like help us build habitats on other worlds. Basically, they'd be our eyes and ears out in space.
It's incredible, isn't it? Okay, but I have to ask because, well, we've all seen those sci-fi movies.
Where AI goes bad.
Yeah. So how realistic are those scenarios based on, what the research says?
Right. It's super important to like acknowledge the risks, right? And one of the biggest worries is this whole control problem.
May.
Well, how do we make sure AI, especially the super intelligent kind, stays aligned with like our values and goals?
Because if we create something way smarter than us, how do we stop it from deciding to do its own thing?
Exactly. And that's what researchers are like really wrestling with right now, this alignment problem. They're looking at
Ways to keep AI beneficial to humanity.
exactly. And one idea is like embedding ethical principles right into the core of the AI system, like building in morality, essentially.
It's like we'd be giving AI a conscience. So it's not just about programming AI to follow rules.
It's about shaping its motives and goals. It's complicated stuff.
It sounds in it. So we've talked about potential benefits, we've touched on the risks, but where are we now in terms of like actually developing AGI?
It was definitely not happening in some secret lab. There's research going on at universities, research institutes.
Companies, right?
Yeah, like big names,
Love.
OpenAI, DeepMind, Google. There's a global race going on, but there's also this growing sense that we need,
Separation.
yeah, and transparency, because the challenges are huge. Like creating a machine that truly thinks like a human.
That must require breakthroughs in so many fields.
It does. And one of the biggest hurdles is getting AI to generalize knowledge. Apply what it knows to new situations.
Just like humans do. Right now, AI is great at specific tasks.
But they struggle with things that need creativity, common sense, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about processing power or data storage. It's about replicating human intelligence with all its flexibility and nuance.
Exactly. And for that, you need advances in computer science, but also neuroscience, psychology, even philosophy.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. So, given all that, how close are we to actually achieving AGI? Are we talking years, decades, or like centuries away?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, there's no easy answer. Predictions are all over the place. but most experts think.
That we'll see some major progress in the next few decades.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, so it's not something to panic about tomorrow.
But it's definitely something we need to start thinking about now.
Absolutely. The development of AGI, it has the potential to be one of the biggest turning points in human history.
And we need to have these conversations now so we can shape its development and make sure it benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This has been an incredible deep dive so far.
It really has. I'm already feeling, well, both excited and like a sense of responsibility for what's coming. But before we get ahead of ourselves...
We still need to talk about the risks and the ethical stuff in more detail.
Exactly. So join us for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore those aspects even further.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we move on, I wanted to go back to something you mentioned earlier. The the risks and all the ethical stuff around AGI and ASI. It's something we really need to
examine carefully.
Exactly. We've talked about all the amazing things AGI and ASI could do, but we got to be real about the
challenges.
Yeah. And like we discussed, one of the big ones is this whole control problem thing, making sure, especially with superintelligent AI,
that it stays aligned with our values, our goals.
Right. Because it's kind of freaky to think about, creating something that could become smarter than us. And then
it could act in ways we don't understand or can't control.
Exactly. That's why researchers are looking at all sorts of ways to tackle this problem. And one idea they're exploring...
Kill switches.
Yeah, basically, ways to shut down an AI system if it, starts acting up or gets out of control.
You have an emergency brake?
Sort of.
Yeah.
It sounds like science fiction, I know. But with systems this powerful, it's probably a good idea to have...
safeguards in place.
Exactly. It's not about, stopping progress. It's about being cautious, thinking ahead.
So what else are they looking at?
Well, there's a whole area of research focused on what they call value alignment. Trying to,
program human values into AI.
Yeah. Build morality right into the system. So it's not just about telling AI what not to do.
It's about giving it the right motivations from the start.
Exactly. And, it's super complicated. But one way they're trying to do this is with...
machine learning?
Right. They train these AI systems on massive amounts of data that, reflects human values, ethics. They expose the AI to...
literature, art, philosophy.
All that stuff. To help the AI develop, a deeper understanding of human morality.
So it's we're trying to teach AI right from wrong.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. The goal is to make sure AI isn't just intelligent, but also, ethically aware.
Capable of making good decisions, the kind that align with what we think is right.
Exactly. And this is where, that whole international collaboration thing comes in.
The one you mentioned before.
Yeah. Because if we're going to, shape the future of AI, it can't just be one country or one company calling the shots.
It has to be a global effort.
Right. For a bunch of reasons, actually.
Yeah.
First, sharing knowledge, resources that'll help us develop AGI responsibly and, faster, too.
Instead of countries competing against each other.
Exactly. Working together towards, a common goal. And it also helps with, setting standards, regulations.
Making sure everyone follows the same rules.
Yeah. Especially for tech as powerful as AGI and ASI, we got to make sure it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
That's a good point. And it kind of leads into that other thing you talked about, the AI arms race.
Yeah, that's a scenario we definitely want to avoid. Countries racing to develop the most powerful AI without thinking about the consequences.
It sounds kind of terrifying, honestly.
It could be. That's why we need, a global conversation about the future of AI. Not just scientists, policymakers.
Everyone needs a seat at the table.
Right. Ethicists, philosophers, the public, everyone. Because AI is going to affect all of us.
So we need diverse voices and perspectives to help guide the development of AI, make sure
it's beneficial and irresponsible.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to change everything, so we need to approach it with, wisdom, foresight, and a sense of
shared responsibility.
Exactly. We're all in this together. So, yeah, international collaboration, it's key to harnessing the power of AI safely and ethically. But I want to shift gears a bit here. We've talked a lot about the big picture stuff.
You mean how AGI and ASI could be used to solve real-world problems?
Exactly. We touched on healthcare and space exploration before.
But there are so many other areas where AI could make a difference.
Totally. Like climate change. Think about AI analyzing environmental data, optimizing energy grids.
Coming up with solutions to capture carbon.
Right. AI could be a game changer in the fight against climate change.
It could. What else? What other areas come to mind?
Oh, education. It's ripe for disruption. Imagine, personalized learning systems for every student.
Tailored to their learning style, their pace.
Yeah. AI could, pinpoint where students are struggling, give them instant
It
feedback.
make learning more engaging, accessible for everyone.
Exactly. And with all the challenges facing education today,
AI could really help, couldn't it? It's like democratizing access to quality education.
that's the idea. But we have to remember, technology is just a tool. It all comes down to,
How we use it.
right, we got to be aware of the risks, the ethics, and make sure AI is used to promote, fairness, justice, well-being for all.
You're right. But there's also that concern about, jobs. People worry about AI taking over.
Or economic disruption.
Yeah. As AI gets smarter, more sophisticated, what happens to human jobs?
It's a legitimate concern, and it's something we got to think about seriously.
Yeah.
It's likely that some jobs, especially ones that are like repetitive or,
Tool-based.
yeah, those might get automated. But that means,
New jobs will be created, too.
exactly, it's more like a shift in the job market.
Mm-hmm.
We have to anticipate these changes.
Prepare for them.
Right. Invest in education, retraining programs, so people have the skills they need for this, AI-powered future.
Because we'll be working alongside AI more and more.
Exactly. So it's not just about the tech changing, it's about society adapting. We need to rethink education, work.
Even our relationship with technology itself.
You got it.
Yeah.
AI presents challenges, A&D opportunities, and it's up to us to, navigate this transition thoughtfully. Make sure everyone benefits.
It's a lot to unpack, but thanks for breaking it down. I'm really curious to hear more about,
How we can actually prepare for AGI and ASI.
yeah, as individuals, as a society, what can we do?
That's a fantastic question, and that's what we'll dig into in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I gotta say, my brain's still buzzing from everything we've talked about.
It's a lot to take in. AGI and ASI, the more you learn,
The more questions you have.
totally, and the more, mind-blowing it gets.
For sure. So at the end of part 2, you mentioned we talk about how to prepare for AGI and ASI.
Like, how can we get ready as individuals, as a society, for this whole new world?
That's exactly what I'm hoping to unpack. So let's start with individual prep. What can our listeners do to, equip themselves for a future that might include AGI and ASI?
Well, I think one of the most important things is, adopting this mindset of lifelong learning.
Lifelong learning, you mean?
Yeah, like the world is changing so fast, and the skills that are hot today might be totally outdated tomorrow.
So it's less about mastering one specific skill set.
And more about being adaptable, always learning new things.
Being open to new experiences, embracing challenges,
Yeah,
and
always looking for ways to expand your knowledge, your skill set.
Makes sense. In a world increasingly driven by tech, being able to adapt and learn new things.
It's going to be more valuable than ever.
For sure. What else? What other steps can people take?
Another big one is developing critical thinking skills.
Why is that so important, especially in the context of, AGI and ASI?
But think about it. We're constantly bombarded with information from everywhere. And it's getting harder and harder to tell.
What's real and what's not?
Exactly. And with AI-generated content, that stuff can be so convincing, even if it's totally made up.
I know, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
It is. That's why strong critical thinking skills are so crucial. They'll help us evaluate information, objectively, question assumptions.
And ultimately make better decisions, especially when...
The lines between reality and, what's AI-generated get blurry.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we're talking about being more discerning.
More skeptical. Not just accepting everything at face value, but really digging deeper.
Questioning things, analyzing the information we're given.
Exactly. It's about, seeking out truth and understanding, even when it's tough or inconvenient.
So those are some good tips for individual prep. But what about on a societal level? What can we do to make sure these technologies are developed and used responsibly?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to have these open, honest conversations about the ethics of AGI and ASI.
You mean not just leaving it to the scientists and tech experts?
Right. Everyone needs to be involved in this discussion because ultimately these technologies will impact all of us.
So we need to talk about the potential benefits, the risks, and
make sure the development of AGI and ASI is guided by ethical principles that, reflect what humanity values.
It has to be a shared effort, right?
Definitely. And that's where, that international collaboration piece comes in again.
Yes, working together globally.
Exactly. Because AGI and ASI, they're global issues. We need international agreements, regulations.
To make sure everyone's on the same page, that these technologies are developed responsibly and ethically.
Right. and used for the benefit of all humankind, not just a select few. It's about creating a shared vision for the future of AI.
A vision that prioritizes things like cooperation, transparency, accountability.
Exactly. It's not going to be easy, but it's so important that we work towards a future where AI is a force for good. Something that helps us solve problems, reach our full potential as humans.
And create a more just and equitable world for everyone.
That's the dream. So what about you? What excites you most about the potential of AGI and ASI? Personally, I mean.
Oh man, so many things. But I think what really gets me is like the potential to understand the universe better and our place in it. Imagine AI helping us crack the code of consciousness.
Or exploring the vastness of space, answering those big questions about, like, the nature of reality itself.
It's mind-blowing and a little humbling too.
Definitely. But on the flip side, what worries you the most about AGI and ASI?
Honestly, my biggest fear is that we'll mess it up, that we won't address the ethical stuff properly, and we'll end up creating AI that's, harmful or makes existing inequalities even worse.
I hear that. We have to be so careful, so thoughtful about how we develop and use these technologies.
Right.
Because the stakes,
They couldn't be higher.
exactly. We're not just talking about tech here, we're talking about shaping the future of humanity.
Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive, and I know our listeners are going to walk away with a lot to think about.
I hope so. This it's not just theoretical anymore.
It's coming, and we need to be ready. So as we wrap up, is there like one final thought or question you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important question we can ask ourselves is, what kind of future do we want to create with AI? Because that answer, it's going to guide our choices, our actions.
And ultimately, the world we leave behind for future generations.
Exactly. The future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's up to all of us to shape it.
So, deep divers, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep those brains buzzing. Until next time, happy diving.